All right, today we are diving into weight loss, but we're going to rip up the old rulebook. We're exploring a completely different way of thinking that challenges, well, decades of advice we've all been given. And it's all based on the work of Dr. Jason Fung.
I mean, that is a pretty bold statement, right? For as long as I can remember, we've all been told that weight loss is just simple math. You just have to burn more calories than you eat. But what if that advice, while maybe technically true on some level, is actually completely useless in the real world?
Exactly. If that whole calories in, calories out idea is fundamentally broken, then what is the real story? What actually works? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first. Before we can really wrap our heads around this new model, we have to understand exactly why the old one, the one we're all so familiar with, is just so deeply flawed.
Dr. Fung uses this absolutely brilliant analogy. Telling someone struggling with obesity to just eat less is kind of like telling an alcoholic to just drink less. Sure, it's correct on the surface, but it's not helpful at all because it completely ignores the root cause. It fails to ask the most important question of all: why is the body storing so much energy to begin with?
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? The whole calorie counting model, it's just too shallow. It makes us blame people for having a lack of willpower, when the truth is, we're not even dealing with the real biological problem.
So, if counting calories is just scratching the surface, what's going on underneath? The real story, it turns out, isn't about counting units of energy. It's about understanding the instructions we give our bodies, and those instructions, they're delivered by hormones. So let's meet the main character in our story, insulin. Its job is actually pretty simple. When you eat something, insulin levels rise, and it tells your body what to do with that incoming energy. And its number one instruction is to store that energy, a lot of it, as fat.
Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. Take a look at these two breakfasts. They could have the exact same number of calories, but they send completely different messages to your body. That white bread and jam, it causes a massive insulin spike, basically screaming at your body, store this energy and do it now. So the energy gets locked away in your fat cells and it leaves you with nothing to run on. And of course, you're starving again by 10:30 a.m. But the eggs, they cause a really small low insulin response. The hormonal message is totally different. Hey, use this energy. That energy is available to your body all morning, so you stay full, you stay focused.
And this right here, this is the absolute key. High insulin basically creates a one-way street for energy. Energy can get into your fat cells, no problem, but it can't get out. Insulin literally locks the vault, making your own stored body fat completely inaccessible for fuel.
You know, once you understand this hormonal piece of the puzzle, that frustrating cycle that so many of us have been through, it suddenly makes perfect sense. It explains exactly why most traditional diets seem almost designed to fail.
Okay, let's walk through this trap. You start a diet, right? You cut 500 calories. But if you're still eating foods that keep your insulin high, your body can't get to its fat stores to make up for that deficit. So what does it do? It freaks out. It slows down your metabolism to match what you're eating. And just like that, your weight loss completely stalls. And you feel awful. You're cold, you're tired, you're hungry, and the scale isn't even moving. Eventually, you can't take it, so you ease up a bit, maybe to 1,800 calories. But here's the trap. Your metabolism is now stuck down at 1,500. So even though you're still eating less than when you started, you're actually in a calorie surplus, and the weight comes roaring right back.
And listen, this is so important to hear. That whole yo-yo effect is not you failing your diet. It's the diet failing your biology. It's a biological trap, plain and simple. It is not a character flaw.
So if just cutting calories is a trap, how the heck do we get out? Well, according to Dr. Fung, the answer is a powerful and honestly ancient tool: fasting. It's about finally working with our hormones instead of constantly fighting against them. And this table just lays out the difference so clearly. With a typical diet where you're eating all the time, even if it's less food, your insulin stays high. That blocks fat burning and it slows down your metabolism. But with intermittent fasting, the exact opposite happens. By giving your body a real break from eating, your insulin levels can finally fall. And that in turn unlocks your fat stores. And then something really amazing happens to your metabolism.
Okay, I know what you're probably thinking right now. Hold on, won't skipping meals just throw my body into starvation mode and totally wreck my metabolism? Right? It is the #1 fear people have about fasting.
Well, the actual data tells a completely different and kind of shocking story. In studies where people fasted for 4 days straight, their basal metabolic rate, that's the calories you burn just staying alive, it didn't go down. It actually went up by about 10%. Your body isn't shutting down. It's revving up its engines and switching its fuel source over to your own stored body fat. The whole starvation mode thing, it's a myth.
So here's a better way to think about it. Fasting isn't about starving. It's about switching fuel tanks. It's the key that lowers your insulin and finally lets your body open up the vault and use the huge reserves of energy it's already got on board.
All right, so let's tie all of this together. If calories aren't the whole story, then what is? It really comes down to a simple but incredibly powerful idea.
First, let's get this on the table. According to studies on twins, about 70% of your risk for obesity is genetic. That's huge. It means it's not a level playing field for everybody, and it explains why some people really struggle with their weight so much more than others.
But think about it for a second. Our genes haven't really changed in the last 50 years, but obesity rates have just exploded. So the variable here isn't our DNA, it's our food environment. We are sending our ancient genes a set of modern, highly processed instructions that they just don't know how to handle.
So this is what it all boils down to. This is the new takeaway. Weight management is hormonal. It is not a moral failing. The type of food you eat, and just as important, when you eat it, those are the instructions. Processed carbs are shouting store fat, while periods of fasting are calmly telling your body burn fat. And understanding this fundamental difference, that's what gives you back control. It takes you out of the blame game and into a place of biological empowerment.
And that's really the question I want to leave you with. When you look at your next meal, don't just see calories. See a set of instructions. And then just ask yourself, what message am I sending? Think about that.